Hi YouTube, Senra here, and today I'm going to be talking to you about something very personal and something that I've wanted to talk to you all about for quite some time. I've talked about this on my Instagram. It's something that I may have mentioned to you personally if you're a friend of mine, you definitely know, or if you're someone I've met at a convention and seen around and that sort of thing. So, what is this big announcement? Well, if you've probably seen the title below, I am blind. I'm going to tell you today about what my visual problems are, how this affects me as a person, and how I interact with you and the environment around me. This is important for me to talk about because I've been like this since I was born. It's a part of who I am, but doesn't define who I am as a person or what I can do with my life. It's something that I can't fix or change, but I am who I am, and that's something I've really come to terms with in the last year. Surprisingly, it's taken me that long to realize my true limitations visually and what that means for me in terms of what I need to do to make sure that I am safe and comfortable in any environment that I might be in. So the main reasons I want to tell you guys about my disability, it's twofold really. So on the one hand, I think it's quite important for those who meet me to realize why I may act in certain ways, how I may look at you, how I may interact with you. I've got a lot of funny stories that I'm going to talk about later in terms of these interactions and funny things that have happened. And I get a lot of assumptions. Is she high? Is she drunk? Oh, she's ignoring us, she's a total snob, what a bitch. And the other is because I think that everyone deserves to be accepted and encouraged in whatever world they're in. So, let's talk technicalities. What is actually wrong with my eyes? Fun fact, my parents are both doctors and my father is an ophthalmologist, which is an eye doctor, which in my situation is pretty ironic. I should just show myself out. It's good for me that I've had a professional in my house my entire life, and it's good that my parents caught what was wrong with me early on, because otherwise I may never have been able to see. So I have here sort of a formy thing that we needed for the World Cosplay Summit to explain to the organisers and event people what my vision problems are, just because it does impact me on a severe level. I guess we can break down my vision disability into 3 significant visual impairment issues. Number 1 is that I have a high-level reflective error or hypermetropia, also with mild reduced central visual acuity in both eyes. So this involves full-time contact lens wear and glasses wear when I'm not wearing my contacts. There's only one specific company I think that makes them in this prescription because I am that blind. Number 2, markedly reduced fields of peripheral vision. Now this makes for a fun story. So your peripheries are basically what you see beyond what you're looking directly at. Now I can only see what's directly in front of my face, so like directly in front of my eyes, and that's it. There's nothing this way, nothing that way, just nada. So my field of view is very, very small. This makes for a lot of fun and awkward situations. Going back to the is she ignoring us, is she a snob thing, so I'll be walking along, minding my own business, la la la, and I'll walk past people who know me or are in classes, and they might wave. They don't say my name, but they might look up and smile or wave at me, and if I'm not looking at them, I'm not going to see any of that gestural action. They're not going to be in focus when I'm facing this way and walking this way, and so I will miss them entirely. And so rumors went around that I was not a nice person because I would ignore people. When I'm chatting to someone and we say something funny together, you have the whole high five situation. They're going to be pulling this face and I'm not going to understand why. And what happens is if they don't say high five or anything, they will just sort of walk away and feel like I'm angry at them or something, or that the conversation went a different way than they thought, and it's really awkward to then again hear about that later. So I'm really sorry to everyone who I've done that to. I didn't mean to. I probably owe you a high five, but just let me know because of your hands here. I can't, just no. Greeting people for the first time, everyone probably thinks I'm very like outgoing and assertive because I'll rush up to people and I'll shake their hand first, because a lot of times I have a situation where someone's looking at me like this, and then it sort of clicks eventually to look down and go, oh, your hand, oh, nice to meet you too, friend. yeah, done that a few times with teachers as well when they've gone to congratulate me on something and it just sort of, oh yeah, awkward. Basically I use the metaphor of a camera to explain what I can and cannot see. I can only take in what's directly in front of me or I'm pointed at, so turning around to look at things. It takes me a while to focus on something. So I could be turning around and I could look and then it'll take me a second for that to actually come into, okay, this is what I'm looking at, that's the person walking towards me. And also, my facial recognition is terrible. So I won't recognize who you are if you're a friend of mine until you're probably about here. You have to be right next to me and then I'll still sort of, oh hi, kind of thing. Okay, so number 3, the third thing on the list, nyctalopia, which means severely impaired low light or night vision. I know humans don't have night vision, that's a cat thing. The issue with me is that as soon as the lights get too dim or I'm outside at night, I can't see anything. So my parents have sort of called it night blindness. So when I'm in a dim space, it's very scary for me if I'm there on my own or I'm in an unfamiliar environment in the dark. I can't see anything. It's like, just imagine someone put a blindfold over your eyes. So basically I don't like going out at night time on my own, if at all. I only like to go out at night with family members and certain trusted friends. So Spades and then all my other cosplay friends know really well that I have these problems, so I trust them to take care of me, because if I'm going out in the dark, I have to basically entrust my life to another person. And that's not an easy thing for me to decide to do. Another thing that's not on that list specifically is that I have no depth perception. Not being able to see things like stairs or any forms of steps or changes in the levels of the ground. So unless the stairs in a place like a university or anywhere else have any form of lines on the edge, whether they be silver, black, contrasting colors like yellow, unless they have those lines, I'm really not going to see them, and it's really scary if I'm not suspecting them to be there, because I might, you know, trip and fall down a flight of stairs. I really have to look ahead of me and try and figure out if anyone else in front of me who's walking is changing their level while they're walking around, and if they are going down, then I know to take my time, pause, and I sort of tap the edges with my feet. At least that's what I've been doing up until about a year ago. So what happened was, at the end of 2015, I was hit by a car. And so that incident, to me, kind of was the turning point for me really realizing that I've had a problem. And I'm sure some of you are sitting there going, but if you've always had this eyesight problem since you were born, didn't you know that it was an issue? Valid point, however, up until a certain age, I guess I'd always done things with friends and things with people, family. I guess I've always been treated like a normal person. I was aware of the issues, but I wasn't really aware of how it would affect my safety, because I thought I was careful enough, that I was doing enough in the way that I interacted with the world, even though I'd constantly be covered in bruises and trip over all the time. Up until that point, I just thought that I wasn't invincible, but that I could take care of myself and hey, it's just like a little problem. I mean, I had fallen off the bus heaps times before in terms of missing the step to the curb, and I was walking down this main street in the city, and there are a lot of car park or underground parking exits near the hotels there in the main street. This car came whizzing out from the exit of this hotel, and this hotel exit, unlike some of the other ones, doesn't make any noises and there's no flashing lights when a car is exiting. So because of this, I just was facing straight down the street trying to avoid not walking into people, and he just came flying out of nowhere, and we sort of collided. I mean, he wasn't going that fast, so I wasn't really injured, I just had a lot of bruising, but I was knocked to the ground and my glasses fell off my face, and my first response really was embarrassment, because my default thought went along the lines of, oh, you had this eye problem, therefore that was your fault and you couldn't see, and so yeah, you should be really ashamed that you just made a huge fool of yourself and ran into some guy's car. And that's completely screwed up, because the people around me were telling me like, oh, he came out of nowhere, that was totally his fault, he's, you know, he was older, but all I wanted was someone to pass me my glasses and my bag so I could just get up and leave, and that's what I did, and I didn't want to talk to anyone. And I think that upset my parents a little bit, because I didn't, you know, get details, I didn't do the right things to look after me. I just was so embarrassed by what happened that I just wanted to get out of there, because I was so ashamed that I had this problem. For the next sort of 6 months after that, I realized how much more I was sort of really uncomfortable being out by myself in the city, in crowds, particularly at conventions, and I was really paranoid about cars, and it got to the point where I realized that it's not my fault that I can't see, it's just who I am, but I do need to take better care of myself and take the measures that will help me in that regard. So now, when I'm out by myself, I walk with this. Deciding to get a cane was a decision that was really difficult to make because it makes my invisible disability visible to everyone else, which is a good thing because it means that people know to be careful around me, to give me space, to help me in certain situations, to ask if I want assistance. The issue with deciding to get the cane was that everyone would know that I had a problem, and for me in my head, thinking about it for a long time also made me someone to look at. And I know you're thinking, she's a cosplayer, she loves being looked at. Well, that's not quite the same thing, and that's not true either. It's more the sense of, I am officially different. If I have this stick when I'm out walking, I'm not like every other person on the street. I am disabled. And admitting that was really hard, and I don't think I can quite express how difficult it was for me to decide that. I sort of started with my friends, one at a time, telling them privately that I was getting a cane, and everyone was super supportive and super kind, but it still took a couple of months for me to get one, and I was so self-conscious and nervous, and I just didn't feel like myself. I felt like I was this other person, when actually it's just who I have been this whole time, and it doesn't make me any less of a person to have this, but it just made me have to basically state to the world something that I hadn't been ready to say for whatever reason that might have been. And it did make a good difference, which was the whole point. And all these months later, I'm very, very glad that I have it. I'm still working on my self-conscious issues with it in terms of when I have it, who I'm around. For example, I won't have it with me when I go to a job interview yet, because it's that judgment call that people make, that I think they're making. And again, it's just like a very internalized issue for me that I'm still working through, but I want to tell you guys about it, and I'm going to be having one of these sticks with me throughout the World Cosplay Summit in Japan, where I'm meeting 35 teams of 2, so it's what, about 70 different people, plus their organisers and alumni and Japanese people coming to the event and all their friends and their friends in other countries, and I'm just going to be so overwhelmed with these people, and I want them to know that I have this for a reason, and I basically, in summary, have tunnel vision, that I have this problem, and please be gentle with me. But my friends are going to decorate it for me, which is really sweet, just to make it a little bit more magical girly, which brings me to why I'm dressed as Madoka, because I think that everyone deserves to have a role model, whether it be fictional in the real world or not, and I have a few who help me with my disability and coming to terms with it and wanting to be a stronger person and trying my hardest to believe in myself and what I can achieve. Madoka, she looks up to Mami and the other magical girls the whole series before she becomes one herself, and she looks up to them because she thinks that she needs superpowers to be able to make a change, to help people, to do things in her life that she can't, and to make a difference. But at the end of the day, her decisions and the way she treats the people that make her, into this wonderful person, no matter what the sort of world throws at her or what she sees. I sort of hope to myself that I might be different, but in my head I can pretend I'm a magical girl. Just because I'm not 100% the same as someone else in terms of physicality and what they can do, doesn't make me less capable of achieving what I want to with my life. The other person who is real, who is my ultimate role model in life, in general, in terms of outlook and everything, is Amber Kohaku-chan.
Amber living with dystrophy.
Amber is the sweetest, kindest, just most brilliant, lovely girl you'll ever meet, and I look up to her so much, and she has done so much for me just simply through her Instagram posts and the conversations that we've had online. And she has such amazing positive attitude and treats everyone so well around her and all her followers. The fact that she needed a cane to help her walk she would incorporate that into her cosplays or her Lolita dresses, and she would decorate it and make it this beautiful work of art to carry with her. And I thought she was really brave to go out in the world and be who she was, to incorporate her muscular dystrophy into who she was as a person, fully accepting it and becoming this living doll, as she says, and therefore creating beauty out of something that a lot of people might let tear them down as individuals or diminish their existence. She instead flourished. Now she often has to use a wheelchair when she's out and about, most of the time I think at this point, which is heartbreaking, but she's still going out and doing things and being creative, and even though she might be down some days, she just gets back up again and is just incredible. And I think she's the most brilliant, awe-inspiring person, and I am so grateful I got to be friends with her, and I love her very much and hope to meet her one day because she lives in a different country. I sent her an email saying how much of an inspiration she was to me as someone else with something that they can't change about themselves. That is difficult to deal with sometimes, and I just told her how much what she was doing meant to me and how scared I was to get this cane, and she just sent me this message back and said how proud she was of me for making that decision for the safety of myself and to not mind what people thought when looking at you, and that it doesn't make me any less of a person to have a cane and to be open about my disability. So like I had with Madoka and Amber, I think it's important for us all to have someone we can look up to or someone to encourage us. And as I said, this is partially why I wanted to talk to you about this today, not just so that people in my world or people who meet me can understand the way I do things, but so that you, whoever you are watching this, whatever you face, just know that I'm here and I'm going to support you in whatever you choose to do, because I don't think that our differences should be called limitations or should define us as who we are, because it doesn't. I am many things. I am a cosplayer, I'm a YouTuber, a film director, editor and producer. I'm a performer, I'm an actress, I am a singer, classical and otherwise. I would love to learn to dance, I can ice skate, I horse ride, I box. So whoever you are, whatever you want to do, don't let anyone tell you what you can and can't achieve. And no matter what, never be ashamed or afraid of being yourself. And I can't emphasize enough how important and wonderful my friends are to me, because they are not only friends with someone who's a little bit maybe crazy, they have to be friends with someone who relies on them an awful lot in an awful number of situations and literally puts the pressure of entrusting their life to them. It's a big ask, and I always sometimes have those moments of feeling like I am a burden and I am a lot to handle and there's nothing I can do about it. So the way that they all take care of me is just, I'm very lucky and I love them so very much. If you ever see me out there with them, they'll take my arm in any situation. We always walk together. When we're walking downstairs, they'll start saying step, step, step. They're all so kind. And yeah, I get a little emotional thinking about the fact that they've probably protected me and, you know, stopped me putting my life at risk for just the reason that I can't see for as long as they've known me. And I just want them all to know that I am very grateful for each and every one of you, and thank you for all that you've done and continue to do to make sure that I'm okay in navigating this crazy world that constantly looks different wherever you go. There's no way you can prepare yourself for everything, and you guys help me get through a lot of that, so thank you. I am willing, if you guys like, to do another video where I can discuss this further. I can discuss situations that I've faced, funny stories, any particular issues you guys want me to talk about, whether it be my disability, my sexuality, anything that you feel like needs to be discussed. I'm happy to sit with you guys and have a chat, and we can do a Q&A, we can do a live stream. But if you have any questions for me, please put them down below in the comments or PM me on Instagram and I'll get back to you when I can. And thank you so much for watching and listening to me talking about my disability. I'd be nothing without you guys and all your support as well, so thanks, and yeah, the things you learn, right? Okay, bye!